lion is known as the king of the jungle. He's more social than other big cats, but he's not averse to killing other predators. The leopard is an agile and stealthy rival. He boasts an opportunistic hunting style. He hunts down and consumes any animal he can catch. The cheetah is the swiftest hunter in Africa, but is sometimes considered vulnerable, although he will purr very loudly when content.
Very good! Yes!
The Kyalami circuit looking resplendent as we prepare for the GoGP.org A1GP Gauteng. And as the fans get ready for the first race, A1 Team Australia on the grid with their thoughts elsewhere. Let's join Diana with Alan Jones.
Alan, obviously you've got the black armband on there. Can you just explain why you have that on your race today?
Well, today is a day of national mourning in Australia. All those unfortunate people that were caught in those horrid bushfires in Victoria. And this is just our way of saying, we're behind you.
Well, it's a good way to recognise them. You obviously mentioned them. You've got them on the car as well.
Yep, we've got the ribbon, and you know, we just want to let them know that even though we're on the other side of the earth, we're thinking of them.
Thanks for that, Alan.
A nice touch there from A1 Team Australia, and certainly all our thoughts with those people who suffered with the bushfires. The grid, though, beginning to line up. Kyalami trying to keep cool in this hot weather, but he always seems to go well when the conditions are warm. A lot of support from Team Portugal fans out there in the grandstands, and of course Filipe Albuquerque lines up second on the grid. Great opportunity for Team Portugal, sitting third in the points just behind Switzerland, but up front on pole position is Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's talking to Hinch.
Jeroen, you're now on pole for your second time this season. So far everything's going your way this weekend.
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, like you said, it's the second pole position. Last time out it was in Zandvoort and we didn't win it, so we've got to make that one up and see if we can win it now.
You had a blistering lap in qualifying. How do you think the car's going to be over a race distance and a race pace?
Well, everyone's going to struggle a bit because the tires are going off really badly. So especially the rears, you know, you lose a lot of grip. So it'll be exciting to watch because all the cars will go sideways after a few laps. But so far, I think on all tires we were pretty quick as well. So I think we're doing fine.
All right, well, second pole this season. Hopefully it turns into the first win.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's see how they all line up on the grid for this sprint race. The Netherlands on pole position, as we've seen, and Jeroen Bleekemolen putting in that stunning lap in qualifying to make sure of it, using power boost to good effect. But alongside him, on the dirtiest side of the track, Team Portugal's Filipe Albuquerque. And then right behind, the reigning series title holders, Switzerland with Monaco. Great effort from Team Monaco. Clivio Piccioni starting in fourth. India and Ireland are back on the third row of the grid, ahead of France. Nicolas Prost driving there. South Africa, host nation, are eighth, then Malaysia and Italy. Germany making their comeback, starting 11th, ahead of New Zealand, then Great Britain and Brazil. China and Mexico towards the back of the grid. We've got Team USA and Lebanon, and then Australia and Indonesia. So the drivers now really working those tyres to try and clean them up, to try and get a little bit of tyre temperature up as they pass the stands down at that back section of the circuit. And then the leaders are already coming through the tight chicane. Those plastic cones bolted down to the apex. Saw the chairman of A1GP on the right there as he watches to see these guys move into position.
Yeah, there's quite a long gap between the lead car and the tail of the field. And again, a couple of practice starts from Netherlands and from Portugal. Portugal anxious, I think, to make sure that they didn't suffer the same problem. They were just delayed coming off the line as the cars made their way on this final formation lap. But Netherlands brings it up onto that pole position, must park the car very accurately indeed, otherwise if it does move, could be a penalty.
We're getting all ready then for the sprint race for the GoGP.org A1GP of Gauteng. The last few cars are moving up into position, and this famous circuit seeing A1GP in action for the first time. The support is for Team South Africa. They're starting from 8th, but up front it's the orange car of the Netherlands, the green and red machine of Team Portugal, but also sitting in there, the reigning champions in 3rd. That's Team Switzerland, of course, and Kyalami. You can always expect fireworks from him. He made a great start last time out in Taupo in New Zealand. Engine revs rise, lights on, lights out, away we go. Great start from the Netherlands. Good start. start from Switzerland, trying to get alongside Portugal, and I think Kyalami has got up into second place as they go down into turn one. But Jeroen Blekemolen, an absolutely perfect getaway from pole position.
They really had to do, got the start, and Switzerland Nightwest following through behind that Netherlands car. Ireland trying to go around the outside of turn 3, coming up into turn 4.
Everybody jostling for position, trying to find space, trying to find a way of getting alongside another car, but the Netherlands charging out in front already with Switzerland in second position and India on the charge as well. Remember, Team India, their best qualifying performance of the year so far. Narain Karthikeyan sitting there in 4th place at the moment.
But look, so how did he get up there?
Well, he started 5th. Remember, he used power boost in qualifying, and he's now trying to make the most of this first lap. He's putting the pressure on Portugal.
And also Ireland doing the same in Monaco. Monaco, they started alongside Switzerland on the second row of the grid, but they got Ireland breathing all over the back of the car.
Yeah, Climax Piccioni didn't make such a good start. It was another very good getaway by Kyalami, who's got the starting technique with this Ferrari-powered car down to a fine art. We're riding on board with the host nation. It's on board with Adrian Zaug as he comes into the mine shaft, this fast sweeping left-hander.
240 k's per hour, hard on the brakes, down 2 gears, and then into turn 13.
Malaysia trying to make up some places if possible on this opening lap, but Faraz Fawzi not able to do so. They're all strung along in a long line at the moment. No problems on this first lap so far.
No, it is going to be very much, I think, follow my leader until the field settles down. A few cars, drivers looking, diving out. Faraz Fawzi having a look down the inside. Just no way, too short a straight between that chicane and down into turn 15.
The end of the first lap, and Netherlands leading, and Monaco on attack and trying to get past Team India. Piccioni trying to make the move, but he just couldn't make it.
And that may give Ireland a momentum. Back again. Piccioni comes back, dives up the inside, and what a great move. I've never seen aggression from Piccioni like this. Monaco have got a good car, and Piccioni is making 100% use of it.
He did make great use of it. That was clever driving, and now Adam Carroll's going to try and pass India as well. Team Ireland down the inside, and he's done it. Adam Carroll gains the place.
He used power boost to do that, got alongside on that relatively short straight. Team Ireland in the pits, they're happy with that move, and Narain Karthikeyan lost 2 places and 1 lap.
So great effort from Adam Carroll. Also a good move from Climax Piccioni. Let's look back at this, John.
That was something, again, coming into turn 1, but going into turn 2, advantage back to India, but then Piccioni gets out the drive off the corner. Ireland try to follow through. They have to wait a little bit later to do so. Here's the move from Ireland on power boost, up into turn 5. This is Sunset Corner. India had to concede. Speed of the Irish car in the inside, took the track, and 2 places dropped for India in the second lap.
So it's Netherlands still leading the race. Switzerland in second position. There's the gap. Look at the gap.
Massive.
Jeroen Blekemolen has opened up over Team Switzerland, Portugal, then it's Monaco in 4th, Ireland in 5th.
The reason why is...
Oh, India mistake. Sorry, John. Bit of a mistake from Karthikeyan. You may lose another place here.
Well, he's just about to get South Africa all over the back of him coming into turn 15. But the fastest lap at Netherlands, 1:29.6 as he's gone across. 1:31 for Switzerland, 1:31 for Portugal. Netherlands are running 2 seconds a lap quicker than the rest of this field.
And India's holding up the whole line. Look at them all trying to get past the blue car of Team India. And it's Adrian Zaug of South Africa who is the next in line. And it's his job to try and pass before anyone else can. Behind them, we've still got France in the mix there as well. Malaysia and Italy with New Zealand in 11th place. But all of them stacking up behind the blue car of Team India.
Well, they all lose momentum as the pace of the India car dictates the pace of the rest of this field. Ireland had to get through, they did it. Climax Piccioni from Monaco had to do it, he did it as well. But running behind India now with the South Africa in 7th place, going to be a lot more difficult. Here's
this
the
is
start.
The start. Yeah, let's just take a look. It was a good one from Kyalami to squeeze up into 2nd place. Now, what was going on behind? India just managed to get a front of Monaco.
Yes, and Monaco are really the loser out of that. Ireland held station, but it took them a lap to establish where they had the strengths. They used it coming through turn 2 into turn 3, and then for Ireland getting past India into turn 5.
Good start by Adrian Zaug, actually, for South Africa. He started 8th, he gained 1 there, so that was a useful getaway from him. Meanwhile, New Zealand, the Black Beauty, coming under pressure from China. Hoping Tung crashed the car, and he's going to go for it down the inside. Oh, that was a great lunge. I think he's done it. He saw it from the onboard camera.
He's gotten away with it.
He's got,
he didn't.
No, he's dropped back again, John. Look, the China car. So what quite happened there? He got past briefly, but only too briefly, and he's back behind him again.
Well, it's a very busy racetrack again. Watching down the inside, Danny Watts for Great Britain, defending from Brazil. Brazil's car, of course, having to go through major surgery to get that car repaired after the big shunt in the second feature qualifying.
That's right, both China and Brazil suffering accidents on the Saturday, and there's Ho Pin Tung, and he's been told to go for it, and he did go for it. Look down the inside, this is what happened.
Just overshot the corner. too tight, too early, and opened the door once again for El Bamber and New Zealand. Now goes to the middle of the route to defend. Somebody kicked up the dust coming out of turn 4. We didn't see who that is.
Meanwhile, Malaysia has got past France. Just a change of position there. Malaysia has managed to nip past Nicolas Prost. There's Italy in behind. That is for 8th place. Malaysia now in 8th position. So Nicolas Prost down to 9th place for Team France. So needing to score some points if possible, but they're just outside the points there. You only get points down to 8th position in this sprint race, down to 10th place in the longer feature race that we'll see later. Now remember, we're going to be seeing some pit stops fairly soon. They've done 3 laps. Next time round they'll have done 4, and then after that they can make their first pit stop. On board, though, with Team China, Ho Pin Tung is still attacking.
And they're down the hill and everybody just running inertial, nothing they can do, just wait for a mistake. We saw that dive down the inside again, doesn't. He tries to force the issue. Earl Bamber wisely gave him that little bit of extra room to enable him to get through the corner without contact. Again, defending that position from China. New Zealand in 11th, China in 12th.
Yeah, good attack, but New Zealand's little mistake there from Earl Bamber. As you say, he gave space. China now makes a mistake, and he might let Germany through if he's not careful. That's Michael Ammermuller for Germany right behind, and he's gone alongside as they come over the line.
They're both on power boost, so both are defending. Well, one's defending, one's attacking. Both have to back off again, coming through turn 2.
Oh, Ho Pin Tung did well there to be quick on the power boost button and protect his position, because he made a mistake in attacking New Zealand, and by doing so, and Lebanon again in trouble. Wow. They are having a miserable time.
We've seen great pace from Daniel Morad, but no luck whatsoever.
Really is a great shame, but meanwhile the action on track, the pit stop is, the window is open. That means next time we'll be seeing pit stops as they come around. So they're not coming in just yet, though. As you see, Team China still trying to protect position from Germany, and Great Britain on the attack.
Well, a mistake from Ammermuller coming through turn 6, and Danny Watts saw that, tried to attack, but the defence from Germany precluded any opportunity.
Up front is still the Dutch car leading. The lead, John, is up to 5.1 seconds, a massive lead from Jeroen Bleekemolen, but we're watching this little tussle going on as Germany tries to defend from Great Britain. The cars are sliding around. It's exactly what we talked about. The tyres just sliding around more now, and into the pits comes the race leader.
And I just wonder what set of tyres that the Netherlands used to give them the benefit. They were able to run 2 seconds initially quicker than the rest of the field. I think they had a fresh set of tyres, if not a new set of tyres, for the start of the race for Jeroen Bleekemolen.
The Netherlands in, Switzerland in, but Portugal stay out. So do Monaco, I think. So
and Ireland as well.
Yep, so we have a new race leader in Portugal as the pit stops begin to be made. They don't all have to stop on the same lap, and actually they prefer not to, because they need a bit of space in the pit lane. The guys all come out of the pit box, and that's a good stop from Netherlands 10.0. Keep an eye on the other guys. Switzerland, a little bit. Oh, and he's got held up.
A problem there.
Can't get out.
And the
now
Malaysian
he
car,
does.
yes indeed, that's the problem. It's a small pit lane here, and you've got 3 cars all in line. Look at the angle of the Malaysian car.
And look at that, India just getting out ahead of South Africa. Good stop, I think, from South Africa. And this, not good for Malaysia. New Zealand on a route. France just trying to get alongside the Malaysian car, can't quite do it. Great Britain have also made their stop.
Well, the problem, Malaysia getting the car in, but not at a good angle, and then also we saw the difficulty of cars behind trying to get out. There just is so limited amount of space. If everybody comes in, here's an opportunity. You've got to work with your people around you. Switzerland, and look at again there, Malaysia comes in, and they can't get the car. Now we've got Switzerland who barely can get the car, just about squeezes past, but how much time was lost in that? Maybe 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's going to hurt them. But remember, they are battling, Switzerland effectively battling with these guys who've not been in yet, because Portugal now lead, having not stopped, Monaco right behind, and they are the danger men from Switzerland's point of view. So if these guys have a clear... now interestingly, Portugal in, but Monaco not.
No, and I think Kyalami Pituni's got a very quick car here this weekend. He's going to take advantage of that, try and get one quick lap in, see if he can make up maybe a couple of tenths, maybe up to a second. It'd be nice to have the Portuguese car come in. Monaco is leading this race.
Ireland in as well, so Team Ireland, the series leaders. Adam Carroll choosing this moment to come back into the pits for the tyre change, and the guys rushing out of the pits. One guy on each corner to change the wheel and then send them out. A good stop by Team Portugal, 10.1 seconds. Ireland en route, I think, 11 seconds, so not their quickest, but not losing much time there either, and rejoining the fray just behind Switzerland, I think.
Yes, indeed.
So that's going to be, I think Switzerland certainly lost out in that instant in the pits. We've got a couple more cars coming out, but meanwhile, let's see what's happening. Australia under a little bit of pressure there. They're down towards the back of the field because they haven't stopped yet. The leader is Clivio Piccioni of Team Monaco, who's decided to keep him out there that little bit longer.
Well, to keep an eye on the lap times on his last lap through, that was the lap prior to the Portuguese car going in, was a 1:31. He'll have, in effect, relatively clear air. If he can get into the 1:30s, even though it's only 1 second, if he can earn it on the racetrack, it will help him in the pit lane.
So there is our race leader then, the new team to A1GP this year, the Principality of Monaco. It might be a small nation up against some of the biggest nations in the world in A1GP, but it's effective.
He's coming in now.
Yeah, he's coming in. So where will this put Clivio Piccioni after the stop? These guys, less rehearsed, less practiced in a way than their rivals because they're new to all of this.
Yeah, but equally they've got a clear and open pit lane. They don't have cars around them. And the problem that we saw with Malaysia and Switzerland and other cars, maybe for the feature race, those teams are going to have to work out a schedule and say to each other, well, we'll come in on this lap, we'll come in on a different lap. Otherwise, they're going to have real congestion in the pit lane.
So the tyres go on. It's the outside tyres that take that little bit longer, and they send their man on.
Whoa! Dear me, that was very near getting clipping. As we see,
it's the French car. It's the guys around the French car.
Well, I think he's lost ground.
Monaco coming back out in front. There's Nicholas Prost trying to get going again, and he's got problems trying to get that thing going. He's finally picked up a bit of speed, but lost time as well. So hectic times in the pits, and that certainly rearranged things. Australia made their pit stop just getting out in front of Germany, and he's going to try and stay in front of Germany. Can he do it? Yes, I think he can.
I mean, Ammermuller in Germany, but there was no opportunity. He wasn't close enough. He needed to be actually alongside the Australia car, and to try and dive down the inside would have always ended up with somebody in tears.
Well, Germany gained on the pit stop. They got past Team China, and Michael Ammermuller is on the attack, but no, not quite able to do anything at this stage. So the battles continue here, and Nicholas, not Germany's, it's Team Italy there tucked in behind the French car. So that is Edoardo Piscopo, in fact, who's trying to get past him and can't quite do so. Nicholas Prost just managing to fend him off for the moment on his outlap and those tyres that he's just fitted. Now let's watch the Monaco pit stop.
No, he just dropped the clutch, and look, he may well have clipped the hose of that French car. And I wonder whether that will be something will be drawn to the attention of the stewards, or whether they'll feel that that was fair enough. In effect, we've now got the Netherlands back in the lead by 5.5 seconds. That was over Monaco. It's going to be a different person.
Well, let's see what it is. Yes, originally before the pit stops were being made, it was over Switzerland, but it is now over Portugal because Switzerland lost out on the pit stop. Remember, they got held up trying to come out of the pits. So Portugal now are back into second place where they started this race on the grid, but they lost the position to Switzerland. Switzerland are now in third where they started the race. Monaco in fourth, back to their grid position, if you like. Ireland have gained into fifth place over their original starting position. India's still sitting in sixth, so despite Karthikeyan apparently struggling for a lap or two, he seems to have got the grip back, or at least at the same level as everybody else. So Team India now sitting in sixth.
Well, he's got a lot of pressure because it's just on his rear wing is South Africa, 0.7 of a second behind. In effect, he couldn't get a lot closer.
So there's confirmation of the order. The Netherlands up front, Portugal second, Switzerland third, Monaco in fourth place. There is the white and red colours. Then there's a little gap back to Team Ireland, running in fifth place for Adam Carroll, with India, as you say, hounded by South Africa. New Zealand have gained a bit out of the pit stops because New Zealand now up to 8th, Malaysia in 9th place, France rounding out the top 10, and then we've got Italy, Australia, Germany, China, Brazil, Great Britain all the way down in 16th, Mexico in 17th, USA, Marco Andretti in 18th, and Indonesia in 19th place, and then Lebanon, I'm afraid, way down because they are back on track, but they lost a number of laps in the pits.
Yeah, South Africa, we just see on camera behind India, are under investigation with the steward. We didn't see any reason why that should be, but that is the situation right now.
So there is one of the closer battles. Team India running sixth, the blue car, up against the multicolours of Team South Africa. Vulin Leila, well, they're trying to score some more points once again here, South Africa, and they are in the points, but not quite as far up inside the top 10 as Adrian Zaub would like to be. Into this fearsomely fast turns 1 and turn 2. Great view on board as Adrian Zaub keeps it all under control.
And the only thing these great shots will tell you, the amount of load that drivers are experiencing. This is a counterclockwise circuit, so So the predominance of corners are to the left. A battle
Oh,
and he wants.
Great Britain off through the gravel. He was battling with Brazil for 15th position, and I don't think he's going to get it out of there.
Oh no, he's got damage to the front wing. He's probably got front suspension damage as well. We don't know quite what happened. He just caught as it was on in the process of going off, and whether that, well, there it was. That's what happened. Going down, oh, contact. That's why. So contact between Brazil and Great Britain. And Danny Watts there, you can see the left element of the front wing being kicked up, and there will be damage, I suspect, to the front suspension on that car as well.
Oh, that's so disappointing. Take another look at it, John.
Yes, Field Owen. Well, that was unnecessary.
Odd one. It was almost as if he swept out to take his line, but the other car was still there. So,
well, the Brazil car couldn't disappear, and it was rightly there.
so an odd one there for Danny, and it's really just proving to be one of those weekends he'd rather forget, I think. Don't forget, if you want to track your car, your favourite car, your nation's car, you can do it at the website A1GP.com. And if you go to the live dashboard feature, you can actually see where each of the cars is on the map of the circuit. It identifies where each and every car is at any given moment. You've also got the live timing and scoring to give you lap times there, and you can click onto your favourite car and get all the telemetry readings as well. See what revs they're putting, what speeds they're doing in each corner, what gear they've decided to use, and you can compare and contrast all of the different nations. We're watching Team Netherlands here, of course, leading this race by 4.6 seconds. Battle here on between Germany and China, and Ho Ping Tung really racing hard this weekend. I was talking to their team manager earlier, and they've told Ho Ping, look, we want you to push. We don't care if you make the odd mistake. He did make a mistake earlier this weekend, and they said, we don't care. You were trying hard. You were quick on Friday. That's what we want to see.
And he's involved in the battle with Michael Ammermuller, so maybe that will be something they may really care to adjust, just as to how much latitude they're going to give Ho Ping Tung in a battle with Michael Ammermuller, somebody who we know does not concede an inch of racetrack.
No, that's right, and there's a yellow flag to deal with down at turn 2, where, of course, the British car is still off in the gravel trap, so there'll be no overtaking down at the first part of the track. We are climbing the hill up to West Bank here, though, and a fantastic corner. It's tight on the apex here.
Closes right down on the Germany car. Under braking, it's a difficult part of the racetrack. You're climbing uphill, you can't see the apex of the corner, you have to anticipate it, and certainly Ho Ping Tung for China clearly did that very well. Now, will he have a dive down the inside? He tried it on New Zealand twice, and it didn't really work. He's wisely deciding he wasn't close enough this time to Germany, and waits.
No, and as you say, Michael Ammermuller is one of the tougher guys to overtake as well.
And now Great Britain and Brazil are, unsurprisingly, under investigation for that avoidable incident which occurred on the entry into turn 1.
Ammermuller doing enough in the German car to keep the China machine behind for the moment. Ho Ping Tung sitting 14th as they cross the line. Behind them is still Brazil, so the Brazilian car appears undamaged despite the little bit of contact with Great Britain a lap or so ago.
Yeah, it really depends how the contact occurred. It looked as if Danny Watts and Great Britain clearly were the worst to wear for that one. It may just be a bit of side pod contact with the Brazil car, but clearly the front suspension of the left front wheel of their GB car did contact that side pod.
Dave Stubbs concentrating on the monitor, team manager there for Team Netherlands. This team, which is a run, of course, seat holder is Jan Lammers, a man who's raced in Formula 1, who's raced in sports cars, success at all levels, and he's had to wait a long time to see that Dutch entry take a victory. But you have to say, fingers crossed with 3 laps to go, that Jeroen Bleekemolen has got this one totally under control.
Well, you say that, but actually, over the last few laps, the gap has actually decreased, because fastest lap in the race has gone to Portugal, 1:29.072. The gap, 4.3 seconds. It was up to almost 6 seconds at one point prior to the pit stop, but it's still a comfortable situation for the Netherlands. There's no direct pressure coming from this car. He only has to do with 2 laps to go. It's not going to get run down, other than something unforeseen should occur.
Yeah, but Albuquerque pushing hard, as you say, and it's a useful extra point for the fastest lap, so that all helps, doesn't it?
Look at this on board the Portuguese car. What a shot!
The plank cam, where we've got a camera right at the front edge of the plank that sits beneath the chassis of the car. You're looking right through the front wing.
Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. Look, you can see the amount of vertical movement in the chassis. Now, racing cars are very stiff, but that's what deflection of maybe a maximum of an inch as the cars bump and bound over the racetrack.
Yeah, you really get a view of where the bumps are too, don't you? As we head around the track on the Portuguese car, he's climbing up the hill at the moment and up to that absolutely blind brow into the left-hander. Philippe Albuquerque doing a good job here for Team Portugal, and it's going to be very close in terms of points. For that battle's for second at the moment between Portugal and Switzerland. That's why it was so crucial when Switzerland got sort of held up in the pits. It makes a big difference because they're so close together, battling over second place in the championship.
Well, Portugal, Switzerland and Ireland have been really the class of the field in this fourth series, but we've got the interlopers of the Netherlands leading the race, but also Monaco coming into the mix, and that was something I don't think anybody had anticipated.
No, that's right. Monaco, remember, running in fourth position still in this race and starting from pole position later on in the feature race and showing good competitive times. A lot of support for the Portugal car there. Lovely to see up in the grandstand. The Portuguese flags are waving proudly, and this is what A1GP is all about. Wherever we go in the world, there are always people from all of the nations here to support their car, their colours and their driver, and in this case Philippe Albuquerque's responding to that. The gap stayed about the same that last time around, John.
He's on power boost, he's got his last shot of power boost. It's not going to make any difference, but he's trying at least something you're seeing from a driver. He's got it there to use, he's using it, and it's 4.3 seconds as they came across start-finish line. It's all over in effect with the Netherlands en route to a victory, the first victory since China in Beijing in the second series.
45 races ago it was, that victory of Jeroen Bleekemolen on the street circuit in Beijing, and he's driven superbly for this team, and now it looks as though it's going to come good. He was on pole position at his home race at Zandvoort earlier on in this season. It just didn't come together for him in the two races, but it was a breathtaking start that he made. He got it off the line to perfection. He's only got a little bit of a lap to do.
Yes, and I think if we find out in the post-race interviews, I guarantee you he started this race on a brand new set of tyres, taking full advantage of his pole position and going out and making that win come to the team.
He's down to the final corner. Jeroen Bleekemolen, a champion in the Porsche Super Cup Series. He's going to come through and take the Dutch's first win in 45 races. Well done to Team Netherlands, to Jan Lammers, to Dave Stubbs, to Simon Kayser, the engineer. They've got the victory they've been looking for. Second goes to Portugal. Third place goes to Neil Yarni and Team Switzerland. But what's happening behind? That's Ireland. Ireland have taken fourth from Monaco, so there's been a change on the final lap. I don't quite know what's happened there. Ireland have claimed fourth, India come home in sixth, and then coming home in seventh place, it is South Africa ahead of New Zealand rather. New Zealand picking up the 8th place, but John, I'm not sure quite what happened there.
No, it was a very solid, safe fourth place for Monaco. Suddenly they come through in 5th place, and Ireland have picked up that 4th place. I'm very delighted. 4th place it will be for Team Ireland.
But celebrating already Team Netherlands, superb victory by Jeroen Bleekemolen. He stormed away from the start, made everybody else look second rate on the first lap, but that's simply because he had clear air, a great car, and he got on with it.
Oh yes, and he came here, remember, just before Christmas, competed in a race, so he's got knowledge of this racetrack. This is the most changeable racetrack we're going to go to throughout the 4th series of A1GP.
Solid second place for Philippe Albuquerque. He keeps scoring those podium finishes, and that's another superb effort, and that's the way to feature in a championship. They and Switzerland are going to be pretty close together on points, and of course took advantage of the fact that the Swiss car had that problem in the pit stop trying to get past Malaysia. There's Adrian Zaug into the points there, 7th place finish, so picks up a couple of points. There is a question mark though. He was under investigation. I gather that was for possibly speeding in the pit lane, so we'll have to see what comes out there. But there is the man who's going to celebrate the most.
Well, he'll be absolutely delighted. He's done for the Netherlands something that hasn't happened for the past 2 seasons, so he's got that victory once again, and it's a very happy look at the jubilation from your own Bleekemolen. You think it won Le Mans 24 hours.
Well, it's been a long time since they've had a victory, these guys, so fully deserved. There's Philippe Albuquerque, very satisfied, I should think, with that second position, particularly having lost it at the start of the race. To reclaim it at the pit stops, a big bonus.
Yeah, there's going to be a few ifs, ands or buts after this race. Certainly Switzerland, they could argue, well, we should have had that second place. We did get impeded on the exit of the pit lane, but that's going to be an issue which the teams are going to have to deal with twice when it comes to the feature race later on.
So Neil Yarni, he knows that he scored a little bit more than Team Ireland there, but not as much as it looked as though it was going to be because of that change on the final lap. Some little hiccup, presumably for Monaco, and Ireland were able to take advantage. To Adam Carroll finishing only 1 place behind his great rival Neil Yarni.
Yes, and ultimately I think that leads the gap Ireland had over Portugal and Switzerland is down to 12 points. It could have been more than that, so they'll breathe a sigh of relief and look to try and do something a little bit better. Starting in the 6th position, third row of the grid for the feature race, and they've still got Switzerland ahead of them. Fortunately for them, Portugal's one place behind.
Yeah, it's all going to be close indeed. Here we go then, onto the podium. Oh, double punch to the air. Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's been waiting for this moment for some time. But just as Jos Verstappen managed at Durban in season 1, it's a victory for the Netherlands in South Africa. A great second place there for Philippe Albuquerque. And Neil Yarni, another solid performance from the reigning title holders, A1 Team Switzerland. And although he hoped that there would be more, I think that's still an important point. So the medals to be handed out, and the bronze medal therefore going to Neil Yarni. And he'll be thinking of ways that he can try and improve upon that, I'm sure, when it comes to the feature race. Silver to be handed out to Philippe Albuquerque, and that's Stephen Watson, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Gauteng Motorsport, and a man who used to race very successfully himself, of course, but now very involved in putting this whole project together. And the Gauteng province hugely behind this event here at Kyalami this year, that bringing A1GP here. And well, hopefully they'll have enjoyed that first race. All the fans certainly enjoying themselves. I'm looking forward to the second race of the day as well. Gold medal it is for Jeroen Bleekemolen, and we're going to be able to catch up with him in a minute. Let's hear the anthem. So celebrations there. Dutch fans in the grandstands. Diana's over there. She's going to talk to the top three.
Jeroen, congratulations. How does it feel to take that win in the sprint race?
Yeah, really good. I mean, it just went all amazing. But it was a very hard race for me because in the beginning I could feel that there was some kind of problem with the fuel pickup. So it didn't cost me any time, but I could just feel it coming. And then in the second stint after the pit stop, the car just stopped. And then I thought, okay, the race is over. And it started working again. So I lost about 1.5, 2 seconds. But luckily, you know, they put it was still together in the end, and we could win it.
Many congratulations. Philippe, obviously he pulled away with quite a gap there, so you were never really going to catch him.
Yeah, in the beginning I was really impressed with his speed, like no way I can get it. But we were really good at the pit stops. The team did a very good job. I managed to pass Switzerland, but I found a huge difference between tires because still I did the fastest lap time, just because the tires. So I don't know which tires he had. So we will work on the car for the old tires. But I'm really happy with the fastest lap in second place.
Many congratulations. Neil Yarni taking third today, obviously kept your position and collected those points.
Yeah, I had a fantastic start, got me second. And then unfortunately we had some problems on the pit stop. First of all, pit stop wasn't that quick, and then I couldn't get out because Malaysia was parked in front of me. And well, we have to be happy to beat P3 still then after all this mess in the pit. So yeah, it's points, and let's see what happens in the next race.
Confirmation of the result then. Jeroen Bleekemolen taking the win for the Netherlands. Portugal in second and Switzerland third. Adam Carroll of Ireland just ahead of Monaco, then India, South Africa and New Zealand. Malaysia, France, Italy, Australia and China. And then the remainder, including of course Great Britain, who didn't make it to the end. P of Gauteng at the Kyalami circuit, some 24 kilometers north of Johannesburg. The first visit to a very famous circuit, and we're getting very ready now for the feature race this afternoon. And as everybody is prepared for the start of this one, it gives us an opportunity to take a look at the lineup in a little bit more detail and confirm the fact that we have a brand new pole winner in A1GP, because A1 Team Monaco have snatched pole position, and that means that we've got another nation that has achieved that mark, the 13th nation in fact in the history of A1GP to stick the car on pole position. Alongside them on the front row, Malaysia and Faraz Fawzi driving very well here at the moment. We've got New Zealand and Australia, those two great rival nations, together on row number 2. On row 3, the top two in the series, Switzerland and Ireland, with the next best, Portugal, next on the grid as well. Netherlands and Great Britain on the 5th row of the grid, row 6, France and China, and then behind them USA and Germany. We've got South Africa back on row 8 with Italy, followed by India and Indonesia. Lebanon and Mexico bring up the rear. So a number of cars trying to A number of cars have got some work to do in this qualifying as a result of that strange situation yesterday, but we're into the build-up now for the race. So a beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and now we're going to get things fired up here thanks to the Honourable Premier of the Gauteng government, Mr. Paul Mashatile.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engine.
Ferrari V8s are fired up from top end of the grid all the way down to the back. South Africa with plenty of work to do in this race, starting 15th. The United States car there, you can see we're rolling our way up the grid, moving up to the mid-grid now. France on the left as we look at it. Great Britain with lots to do. That car, John, has been repaired since this morning.
Yes, contact with Brazil coming into turn one. Both drivers claiming they were the innocent party and innocent victim. We had a clean start for the sprint race into turn one. Let's hope we can have a clean start for the feature race into turn one and through turn two.
But it's Monaco that beat them all in qualifying. The smallest nation taking on the might of some of the biggest, but coming out on top in qualifying. Can they do the same in the race? There's no doubt that Clivio Piccioni has a very fast car. He's been quick all weekend. He's got the ability, he's got the experience, but it's a long, long way to go in this race. We're going to see the formation lap first of all. They'll get a practice start under their belts once again. Watch the guys on the right, well actually on the left as we look at it, on the right-hand side of the circuit, because that is the dirtier side, but actually those guys up front seem to get away cleanly.
Yes, of course it's different when it all matters. Now when the lights go out, trouble at the back is which car? That's South Africa.
Netherlands going very slowly.
Car, yes, indeed. It was. Now we saw Portugal have a similar problem getting off the line for the final parade lap as they were about to start the sprint race, and hopefully that other was South Africa or the Netherlands couldn't quite make that car right.
Yeah, I think it was the Netherlands going very slowly. The points at the moment, 12 ahead, Team Ireland from Switzerland, Portugal, who are tied on 58. Then the Netherlands are now moved up to 4th, ahead of France and New Zealand. And of course, New Zealand have a good opportunity to score well here today, as do Australia, starting 4th on the grid, and they're sitting 8th in the table. So do Malaysia. They desperately do need the points after a couple of performances that aren't up to their usual mark, I would say. Everybody bunching up a little bit quite early, I would say, on this formation lap.
Yeah, just looking through the field, at the very tail of the field actually is Mexico, who qualified 15th, but Salvador Duran, when he came in at the end of that qualifying session, failed to obey the signal to go in for the weighing and checking of the wings and so on and so forth. So he was penalised with a move to the tail of the field, so he will start at the very back in 20th place.
Lap 8 to 16th, the first pit stop, laps 23 to 31 for the second pit stop, and it is a 40-lap race, or 69 minutes plus a lap, whichever comes first. But in these dry conditions, I would expect it to go to distance in terms of laps, and that's 40 laps we're looking at. So Danny Watts for Team GBI, he's had a miserable weekend, to be honest. He went off in practice. That meant that he missed out on a fair bit of track time. They weren't able to get out at the beginning of practice anyway, and then of course he had the accident this morning, so he needs to put it all behind him and try and deliver a result this afternoon.
Yeah, but he did say before the start of the sprint race he was very confident. He lost a little bit of confidence in himself. He regained that. He's now got the car handling much more to his liking, and he was optimistic he could have made some progress, and he thought he was doing so when they had that contact with Brazil. But it's a long way back to come from even in 10th place, 5th row of the grid. You just got to be careful. If you see an opportunity, or you could even force an opportunity, that's fine, but don't do something that's going to take you out of the race, as we saw in the incident with Brazil.
And what about Team Ireland? The series leaders at the moment came off a brilliant victory in a 2nd place in New Zealand last time. Could have been 2 wins if they hadn't had a little bit of poor luck in the pits, of course. 3 wins so far this season for Adam Carroll here. We're riding with him as he lines up, but he's starting from 6th, so he has a bit of work to do.
Again, as it was in the sprint race, take your chances if they're easily attainable, but don't force something which is not really obvious. And it's all about finishing for Ireland. They've got to try and get as many points as possible. If they're on the podium, great. If they're not, well, just maximise the best you can do. They've got 12-point advantage over Switzerland and Portugal, who are joint 2nd behind you, and don't blow it by doing something irrational.
The last few cars moving into position then. Team Mexico with a car certainly potentially quicker than those few ahead of them. But that's the story for a lot of people out there today. It's a bit of a mixed up grid, and that could lend to some interesting racing as we prepare for the big race of the day here at Kyalami. The engine revs are beginning to build already. Lights out, away we go. Good start from the pole man, Monaco. Poor start from Malaysia, New Zealand, but a terrible start from Portugal.
They've got a problem. They had a problem in the sprint race start, and all of a sudden, look, Adam Carroll dives his way up to 5th place, but Portugal in all sorts of trouble. I don't think they got that car running.
No, and Adam Carroll tried to gain ground. He did gain a little bit. Australia lost out hugely. USA here trying to go around the outside of France. Marco Andretti trying to go around Prost, and he's done it.
Well, he's used to doing that on ovals. This is a flat corner. Somebody kicks up the dust on the exit of turn 4 now. A battle is on. We're ready to see it on power boost, and we couldn't judge that one. Into turn 5. Adam Carroll's in trouble.
The series leaders, Ireland in a spin. He was trying to get past Malaysia, and he's off. He's in the gravel
and
trap.
He's damaged the car. I said don't do anything irrational. You've got to score points. He is out of the race.
Yellow flag at that turn, but the point is, can he get going? It doesn't look good. France, Nicholas Prost now under pressure from Germany's Michael Ammermuller, and it's all happening in this first lap. And Adam's getting out. He cannot dick that car out of the gravel. He's climbing out of the car. The series leaders, Team Ireland, are out of the feature race.
Oh, I just wish I could give them the message I gave to you, the audience. What, 10, 15, 20 seconds to go? Don't do anything irrational.
Monaco lead the race. Switzerland in 2nd. This is the battle for 3rd between the Black Beauty of New Zealand and Team Malaysia's Faraz Fauzi. And Fauzi really trying to push here. He's got an inside line, but no, Bamba cuts him off.
No, there's no way you can pass coming up into these two very tight right and left. But Faraz Fauzi clearly has got the pace. New Zealand having to be very defensive indeed as he came down into turn 15, the final turn. Brazil then battles with Australia.
5th place for Brazil, but John Martin was on the attack as they came through that final corner. Australia side by side with Brazil. Look, in the background, Australia trying to take 5th, and he's alongside. I think he's done it. John Martin using power boost to great effect, and the Brazilian Felipe Guimarães couldn't do anything about
it. Watch the Netherlands there trying to get a bit of action along with Team GBR just ahead.
Danny Watts for Great Britain, the bright yellow crash helmet in the Union flag colours on the car, showing up well, and he's trying to make a move on Brazil as New Zealand still holding on to 3rd from Malaysia. On board with Netherlands, also attacking.
Yeah, waved yellow flag into turn 5. You can't overtake. You've got to wait until you get the green flag in the exit, then you can pick it up again.
The car of Team Ireland being recovered, and Netherlands did back out of it, but Jeroen Bleekemolen's got Marco Andretti right behind him, and Marco Andretti for USA on the attack now. This is great stuff.
Very aggressive racing. This is a long race, 40 laps, 39 to go, so everybody's trying to get it all won, done and dusted on the 2nd and 3rd laps of this race.
So 3rd still held by New Zealand as Danny Watts goes on the attack. Marco Andretti for Team USA, and the Stars and Stripes puts the pressure on the orange car that won earlier on today in the sprint race. Behind them as well, you've got Team China.
Well, just looking at the battle for 2nd place, defence again from New Zealand. Faraz Fauzi clearly got the quicker car. Can he do anything this time?
Oh, bit of a slide from New Zealand.
Defence from New Zealand, putting himself into the difficult part of the racetrack. Just really holding up the pace of the field behind. Faris Fawzi's got to find a way past quickly, or he will lose any momentum he's got.
These two have battled before. Remember, Zandvoort and Elbam's gone too deep into the final corner. Malaysia's going to try and get back. He can't quite do it. As I say, they raced hard, and Malaysia got past in the wet at Zandvoort, but they were very clean about it. Now he's alongside again, but he's on the wrong side, but he might do it. He's going to try and... No, he can't.
Unbelievable. Side by side through turn one. Faris Fawzi was on power boost to try and get that pass complete. He couldn't get it done, but once they got into turn two, the advantage went back to New Zealand. Faris Fawzi still stays in fourth place.
And this is allowing Monaco and Switzerland to break away up front. Monaco are leading the race, Switzerland in second. Remember, this is the battle for third, and look who's joining in. It's John Martin of Australia.
Oh, he's watching this battle. He's thinking, I can pick up the pieces. These two cars ahead of me, they're going to make contact. I'm in perfect position to put myself up to third without having to make a pass.
So really great stuff going on for third placers. Up front, Monaco with a 1.7 second lead over Switzerland, drawing away. They're now some 7 seconds ahead of this fight, but Elbam's determined to hold on to third. Again, he takes a wide line in, but there's no space for the yellow and white car of Malaysia's Faris Fawzi to sneak in there somewhere, and behind them the positions stay the same. Brazil still in 6th place, the silver car with the Dago wings. Great Britain still in 7th, the Netherlands 8th, USA in 9th, but Germany got past China on the last lap.
Lock up from New Zealand coming into turn 12 it is. This time not quite so much defence. Faris Fawzi knows he can't keep pushing like that, because other than well, almost overran into the back of the New Zealand car. Watch Australia, John Martin. He's the guy who's going to try and take some of this action, and he'll do it as soon as he can. And he had to go very defensive. That was Faris Fawzi went defensive to keep John Martin behind.
Yeah.
Power boost from Malaysia, power boost from Australia.
Yeah, good stuff. John Martin on the attack, but Malaysia defending by using the power boost. The extra 60 brake horsepower kicking in, and that means Australia denied the opportunity to get alongside. So the two yellow cars battling there. Malaysia just ahead of Australia, and Australia so much wanting that first podium for John Martin, and their first podium for a long time.
Looked like a better apex for Australia in turn 4 than that for Malaysia. But again, into turn 5, not a long straight into that long turn 5, so nothing changes, and that pressure once again now being inflicted. If you go back, this is the start.
Yeah, let's take a look at that start once again. And this was from the front view, and it was a poor getaway, particularly from Portugal. They're further down the grid. Look at it, was 4 abreast up front at one point.
Oh, look, I mean, it's still, was that Australia? 3 wheels on the grass.
Yeah, it was Australia. Australia really got squeezed out there, and that's why they lost the places. But then this is what happened to Team Ireland. Oh, did he get a tap or?
Well, he must have got a tap. He went down the outside of turn 5 to get past Malaysia.
Yeah.
It looks like he did get a tap on the right rear, and that's the reason why Adam Carroll and Team Ireland's car.
New Zealand's been hit by Malaysia, and Australia's gone through, and Brazil's gone through.
What did I say? Australia sat back to watch the action, knew something was going to happen. Brazil and Australia the beneficiaries.
Malaysia's still in there, but oh, look at Davis is for New Zealand. He can't believe that. And someone else is off.
And that's a yellow helmet, I think.
In the dust storm, it's a bit hard to check out who it is. We'll try and see that in a moment. But Malaysia got away with it. There was definite contact. There's the New Zealand car off, but there's definitely somebody else who's run wide as well.
But why that other car went off, he couldn't tell. It looked like an independent incident. It's not Team GBR.
I
thought
think
it might
it's
have been
France, John. I think it may be the French car. We'll check that in a moment. Now, this is what happened to Earl Bamber.
He got a biff. That looks like the second biff the Malaysian car has been involved with this weekend. This race, I should say, not this weekend.
Definite contact. This is how it looked from Australia's point of view. Watch this.
Oh, definitely. You can see, no doubt, that was contact. Australia picked up the pieces. I knew that John Martin thought it might happen, and I think he's prayers. And, well, let's look again from another angle. I mean, you have to say New Zealand was the victim there, but they were being very, very defensive, and there's an element of frustration coming into Malaysia. They had it.
Look, you just saw in the background, France got tapped by somebody else. It is France who went off. It's the same corner further up, but Mexico and France together went off. So there was contact between France and Mexico under yellow flags, John, as they went into that same corner.
Well, probably the yellow flag had just gone out, and probably Salvador Duran was fully loaded, just trying to find ways to make up places, and I suspect he didn't even know there was a flag out at all.
So we've lost a few cars there, I'm afraid. In the one lap, we've lost New Zealand, we've lost France, and we've lost Mexico. Ireland already out of this race, but up front, no doubt about Team Monaco, but Switzerland staying in the hunt. The gap is 2.2 seconds. And you have to say that's impressive, because we know how quick Neil Yarni is normally, John, and yet Clivia Piccioni's got a 2.2 second gap on him.
And he's also got the fastest race lap to date. And Malaysia coming in eventually. Now there must be damage to that car initially with Ireland, but now definitely in the right front or somewhere around there with contact with the rear of the New Zealand car.
So let's watch him into his stop. He's not able to make one of his proper stops, as it were, yet. Well, it won't count. He can change tyres, but it won't count as one of the obligatory stops. Oh, and China's off in the grass somewhere.
Well, was that all in the zone? That was out of turn 2 into turn 3. He had a big incident there on Friday when he clobbered the tyre walls heavily. Indeed, Farouz Fawzi goes on his way, so we don't know whether that was a mechanical...
Might have been a puncture, perhaps.
It's hard to tell. Certainly he hit the back of the New Zealand car solidly, enough to bring him into the pits.
Now, what else has been going on? This is
China
India.
we're waiting for. This is India going off. So India goes off all on their own, just get a bit of oversteer into turn 2 and ploughs and makes his way back, I suspect, onto the racetrack, but sort of a lack of almost interest now, I suspect, from Narain Karthikeyan.
So what's happening? Well, let's just take that's the major incident now.
Watch in the background to see what happened.
In the background, you'll see them just come into shot now-ish, I think. There.
Oh, yes. Well, clearly tagged from behind, and that wasn't even an overtaking manoeuvre. That's just a lack of ability to slow down quickly enough, and he just ran into the back of France.
So that's very disappointing. I'm sure France... oh, and this was
That was China,
off.
yeah, coming out of turn 2, got it all wrong. This time, luckily, he didn't hit anything.
Well, that's a shame, because China were running quite well up at that point, so now they've dropped a huge number of places. There's a very grim-faced Adam Carroll walking back over. Nicholas Prost, I'm sure, isn't feeling any happier. And there's been a lot more bumping in this race, John, than we've seen in this season, I would say, of A1GP.
Well, I think in part it's the nature of the racetrack. There's very few places you can get a run on somebody to attempt a clean overtaking manoeuvre. It tends to cause teams to bunch up, and of course the track does change. The tyres do have a change in performance, so everybody's getting it all wrong.
Well, let's get down to the pits. Diana has caught up with Adam already. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Adam, what's your opinion on what happened on the circuit there to take you out of the race?
Well, I got a good start and was, up a couple of positions. We were having a battle, and Malaysia were really slow coming onto the back straight, so I used my push to pass, and I knew I was ahead. I even still turned in quite late to give him some room, and he just hit me in the back right corner. So when you hit someone in the wheel, you're ahead. So so I'm pretty annoyed, to tell you the truth. I'm pretty angry. That's disappointing for everybody in the championship. We would have had a good afternoon.
Thanks, Adam.
Well, there's another look at it, John, and it certainly doesn't seem to turn across in front of Malaysia. He seems, as he said, to try and give him a bit of room, would you say?
Yes, but I'd like to see it from another angle. I mean, he got alongside him almost at the point where he had to turn in. If he had stayed on that line any longer, he would have been on a very dirty part of racetrack. So it's a judgment, I think, that other angles that we may get to see from later in the show that can give us a clearer perspective. That one indicates that there was no doubt contact occurred. Whether it was as much space as Adam indicated or whether Farouz Fawzi felt that he had the road chopped away from him, well, that'll be an argument that'll continue long after this event's finished.
Now, Monaco's controlled this race so far, but Switzerland, just on the last lap, gained half a second. Monaco's been slightly quicker over the last few laps, but I just wonder if Niliani isn't being cautious here, pacing himself. He's in an absolutely brilliant position with 2 pit stops still to go in this one, and he's just 2.3 seconds behind the race leader. And just to remind you, Australia running in 3rd place now.
Well, just looking at Neil Yarney, I mean, you can see what experience and confidence this gives a driver. If you go back to a battle, Team GBR running in 5th place, Netherlands directly behind, and Marco Andretti for USA, thinking that almost was a 4-car chain with Michael Ammermuller trying to get a pass on the USA. And, well, Marco Andretti, make sure your mirrors are properly adjusted because the German's coming.
The Hammermuller, as he got the nickname last season of A1GP because of some of the moves that he pulled. Well, Marco Andretti, and Malaysia's off, so the problems continue for Farouz Fawzi. And there's a big response from the crowd to that.
There is. There is
a huge
and I mean, also he's thrown a whole load of dust across the exit of turn 4. So the first cars that come across, let's have a look and see what happened. Well, he just almost caught the white line. And it may be that when China went off, they've dragged back a bit of dust onto the circuit. Well, the back end just starts to break away, but it's here when he runs that little bit too wide between the exit of 3 and into turn 4. Keeps the engine running, does a nice 360, gets the car going, and in turn he'll kick a lot of dust up.
Does anything think the crowd have cast him as the villain of the piece? I think they might have done.
I think they're loving it. This is real motor racing. But Germany right over the back. Germany, it's Team USA on power boost. Germany not. So Michael Ammermuller had a look but couldn't get the drive to get the place.
So So yeah, this is a great tussle between Marco Andretti and Michael Ammermuller. Of course, Germany, this is their first outing since they've come back into the series. And Michael Ammermuller's showing that they can attack just as good as anybody. Running in 8th place, South Africa, by the way, are behind them. So Adrian Zaug, who started down in 15th place on the grid for Team South Africa, in with a shout here as a little lock-up from Netherlands, still chasing Great Britain. Great Britain holding on to 5th. There's Portugal down in 10th. Now there's a quick car that's a lot further down. They had a poor getaway, if you remember, and been trying to make up places ever since.
Well, just to give you an indication, the pace of the Portugal car clearly quicker than those ahead of them. The lead cars are doing high or middle 132s. Everybody else behind doing 33s. Then you drop down to Great Britain and Netherlands 34s, USA and Germany 35s.
Pit lane is now open, and in fact, interestingly, Malaysia have come in straight away on this lap, but I think it's all over. I've just heard the engine cut off, and I think it might be all over for Team Malaysia. Well, it's been a pretty eventful afternoon for Faraz Fawzi, and yes, Monaco has come in. Switzerland is now leading this race, so Team Monaco, there you are, into the pits.
And also at the same time as Monaco come in, Switzerland used power boost not to try and get past, but to use as much horsepower as they can on this lap to try and make as much time as possible and steal an advantage when it comes to that pit
stop, John. There's a slow of 15.9 seconds. He is in huge danger of losing the lead now.
Almost. This is the trouble of the pit lane.
He stalled it.
No. And again, he's getting caught with traffic. He can't get back into the pit lane because of the Germany car being a fire in the exhaust of the car. So there's fire spitting from the back of the car, and that's maybe just a residue of fuel getting into the exhaust pipe as a consequence of the stall. So Australia in all sorts of problems.
Disaster for Australia, for Jackaroo, for John Martin. And are they even going to get that car running? They're desperately trying to push start him. And again, the fire in the exhaust. Still, it won't fire up. And it's all gone to pieces. It looked like a podium was definitely on offer, but no, it's not going to happen.
Well, they can pull the car back, but what can you do? You've completed your pit stop, you're about to turn out, and suddenly the Germany car comes straight across your path, and you've got nowhere to go.
Yep, there was nothing he could do but suddenly hit the brake. Now Switzerland's in. This is the big one, because Switzerland have a huge chance of taking the lead here. Monaco had a slow stop. There was a nearly 5 seconds longer than it should have been. If Switzerland just do a decent stop, they should be in front.
And this is going to be Switzerland's race, and there's something unknown affects that performance, that result. The team to watch, in my opinion, will be actually Portugal, currently showing in 4th place. But Portugal is the only other car now outside of Monaco who had that poor pit stop, who have got the capacity to run at the pace of this car.
Look at that perfect getaway. The clock stopped a bit late. It was quicker than that, and he's going to be well in front of Monaco by the time he comes out. There's Switzerland rejoining, and Monaco just crossing the line now. And Clivia Piccioni, after leading brilliantly in the first stage of this race, now finds himself on the chase. Now, other guys in the pits, including Portugal.
Well, this was going to be the dark horse of the race, because well, after that problem we had at the start, it's going to be a tough race, but this is a team that could join maybe Switzerland and Monaco on the podium. They could be our top 3 finishers. That's a long call early in the race, but the pace that Portugal's got against those that he's got to pass, it's possible. We've got 30 laps of this race to go.
Team USA have stayed out there at the moment. Marco Andretti actually has put in a pretty quick lap just now, so it does look as though they were bottled up in that group, and they've got a potentially quicker car. So USA shown as leading on that graphic, and that's because they haven't yet been into the pit. But Switzerland are in effect leading this race, having made the pit stop. Now this Switzerland, they've got a bit bottled up behind the South African car with Adrian Zaug at the wheel. Now they've not stopped yet, Team South Africa. Oh, he goes a bit wide, and Ilyani's trying to get past him. He doesn't want to get held up by it, and Zaug does give him space, so that's good driving.
Yes, indeed, and good job, particularly when you got, in effect, the race leader on his way through. You don't want to get involved in that. Adrian Zaug gave the room, probably reluctantly, but he had to do so.
Team USA only just up ahead of Switzerland. They haven't made their stop yet, so that's how well Neil Yarni's going. But Monaco, of course, stuck in the middle there. USA staying out again, interestingly, but Adrian Zaug of South Africa coming in to make their stop. Now, Team South Africa, you need a great stop here to try and give your man a little bit of a boost. 1 or 2 people, as we've seen, have had problems in the pits. You've got to try and avoid that.
Well, the key is you've got to work around the people with you who are on the other side of the pit lane. Looks clear for South Africa. Nobody behind them, that's not an issue. Hopefully nobody's going to come and dive in front of them at the point when they're about to leave the pit lane. And that doesn't look to be a problem either.
No, he's got a clear run out. Great stop. That's exactly what South Africa wanted. And Adrian Zaug's on his way. He's going to come out behind Great Britain still, but he's ahead, is he, of Portugal? That could be crucial if he can stay there, but Portugal's got more speed.
Oh, and what a good, a committed move by Philippe Albuquerque, because Adrian Zaug was about to shut the door very firmly on Portugal, but the momentum again with Portugal, and getting past Adrian Zaug quickly and cleanly as he did there is a big asset to the Portuguese progress.
Yeah, he had to do that, really, had to go for it. It was worth the gamble. USA still being shown as our race leader, still waiting for USA to come into the pits, but Switzerland are those that have stopped leading, of course. Lebanon have not yet been into the pits, so they're, and here is the USA leading the race but not stopped yet, with the other leader, if you like, who has stopped, Neil Yarni, right behind.
Yeah, Neil Yarni needs to be careful, because the grip that Team USA have got vis-a-vis the grip that Switzerland has got, quite a big difference. So be patient. You're going to lose maybe a second or maybe a bit more on your lap, but expect USA to visit the pit lane very shortly indeed. Well, they're not coming in even this lap, so maybe he might have to force the issue. He can use push to pass. He's got 6 more shots on it. He should be on it. He is on it now, and there's the Malaysia car. Is it going to go back out, or they decided that's the end of the day?
Switzerland using power boost to sweep past to USA, Marco Andretti, but Marco Andretti staying out there a bit longer. They're definitely going for the strategy here of leaving him out as long as possible, but now Neil Yarni on a fresh set of tyres, able to just pull away.
Well, USA has got rid of him. Now that Neil Yarni has gone through, he's not under any pressure from behind. Lebanon is running directly behind. Yep. In fact, maybe there will be a bit of pressure coming from Daniel Murad. He's running about the same pace in terms of lap times, doing middle 1 minute 33s compared to that of the USA with a 1 minute 33.5.
Now this is where it might hurt Monaco, because Monaco need to get past Lebanon and USA as quickly as possible here, otherwise Switzerland's going to disappear up the road. But again, they're racing for position. Lebanon are in 3rd place here because they haven't stopped yet.
They've got laps from lap 8 to 8:16, so we're on just looking down the timing and scoring to see which lap we're on. So it's got to be very short if they both USA and Lebanon will make that pit stop.
Yeah, they've still got 3 or 4 laps in which to do it, so they could stay out there if they want, and that's going to hurt Monaco hugely if they do decide to stay out, and if he can't find a way past. It is tough to overtake here, as we've already seen, and the number of incidents as a result. And here, Clivia Piccioni still pushing hard. We're coming up towards the area of the pit lane in a moment, so are we going to see either USA or Lebanon come into the pits and give Monaco a bit of breathing space?
I think Lebanon's going in, it is, yes.
So he comes in, but USA stays out.
And again, you see how much ground has been lost, and this is the difficulty when cars that are running maybe only a second or so slower than you, the whole momentum goes. So the gap between Switzerland and Monaco is 4.8 seconds.
Yeah, so 4.8 seconds. Most of that 4.8 seconds, of course, was lost on that pit stop. They had a disastrous pit stop, but of course Monaco much less experienced when it comes to the stops than some of these other crews have been doing it for 4 years. Away goes Lebanon. That looked pretty good. We didn't have the clock running, but certainly it seemed pretty smart. Let's see where it brings him out, John.
Behind Portugal.
Behind Portugal, but what
is
about
he going
the
to get
others?
it? No, he's not. He's going to come in with South Africa. So he's joining behind Germany. And he's got
Indonesia just in there.
About, Zahir Ali about to go all over the back of that car. Was he going to stay behind or dive down the inside? I think stay behind.
Now, let's see what's going on down at Malaysia. Diana, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm just at the garage now, Ben, and the driver reported that he thought he had a puncture, so he came in, but he didn't have a puncture, gone back out and then had to come back in again because there is something broken at the back of the car. The team are actually looking into it at the moment. They couldn't tell me what it was, but obviously that's the race over for Farouz.
Well, thanks very much for that, Diana. Great disappointment. Certainly involved in some of the action in the early part of this race. So Switzerland currently leading. We've got a little battle going on here. South Africa, Germany in there, Indonesia as well. Just a quick mention, John, of Zahir Ali. Doing a good job there. He is for Team Indonesia's first time he's got the opportunity to race for the team. Had very little running in practice.
He's not just doing a very good job currently. He looks to be the quickest car on track. He's done a 1:31.9, and that's quicker than all the cars around him. Now, if that's a genuine time on genuine pace, then he's doing a brilliant job for Indonesia.
Yeah, I'm very impressed so far because, as I say, got very little running in during practice. They had a whole host of problems, but this is all bunching up a bit. Finally, Marco Andretti comes in. Now, where's this going to bring Team USA back out once more? He's going to be right in amongst them, I think. Portugal's just gone past our commentary position as USA goes down the pit road. So he's going to come out now. Can he get ahead of this group? That's crucial. Yes, he has. He's managed to get ahead, but now South Africa's going to attack and get past him into turn 1, and so is Michael Ammermuller, the guy he was racing with before. He can't hold him off. Sensible piece of driving. He's got to try and cut in front of the next guys.
Very, very tentative. He could have been a little bit more aggressive in defending his position, particularly against Germany, but he wasn't. He was very generous, letting one of those two cars get past in turn 2, and then Germany getting passed up into turn 3.
So remember, USA and Germany, they were fighting hard, and after that pit stop, despite USA staying out there longer, it didn't make a huge difference, but it did mean that he lost the position. Germany just a touch wide there through the left-hander, but Marco Andretti not close enough to take advantage of it. We're watching with Indonesia as well in that group. Lebanon too, yes. Daniel Morad, of course, we're watching with there as well. Daniel Morad sitting in behind USA.
Inside.
He's having a go.
Gets side by side, and again Marco, 3 cars in the space of a lap. He's allowed to slip through, and he's under pressure again. That's Zahir Ali for the Indonesia car giving USA a hard time. When did we ever think we'd be saying this?
That was a very important move of Daniel Morad. Here comes Indonesia, and he is going to have a go at USA, and Marco can't do anything about it.
4 cars in 1 lap. I don't know whether there's a problem with Marco with this particular set of tyres, or just he's been sort of slightly spooked by the pace of all, and maybe the aggressiveness, with China now directly behind the USA car.
Yeah, it does seem strange. He got up to speed, but it doesn't seem as though he can defend. China there tucked in behind him. So USA have lost a whole host of places on this outlap from the pit lane. Let's just check from South Africa now 7th, Germany 8th, Lebanon 9th, Indonesia into 10th, and in the points, Indonesia potentially here. Well, what a debut for Zahir Ali if they can hold on to that long, long way to go. 25 laps remain, but Indonesia having their race of the season so far in the hands of new driver Zahir Ali.
Well, we're on this permanent circuit at Kyalami just outside Johannesburg, but it's more like a street fight on a street track. They've not seen such aggressive racing in such a long time, but I think even at the first time with this brand new car.
Now, let's just to remind you what's happening up front. Switzerland have a 6.2 second lead. Neil Yarney's looking ever so comfortable up front at the moment, with Monaco still second, but Brazil running in 3rd. Now, there's something that is a little bit of a surprise. Brazil in 3rd, the Netherlands in 4th, Great Britain holding on to 5th ahead of Portugal, and then this sort of group we're with, and here goes another move on Germany from Daniel Morad of Lebanon, and he can't quite make it work. It nearly worked for him. And he was a little bit careful as well, sensible I would say, and had to back out of it. But Lebanon on the attack. They've had a great car all weekend when it's been running, but they've had a host of problems to deal with. And Ammermuller going defensive, and in fact going past South Africa, I think, and problems for Adrian Zaug. John, he's pulled off.
Yeah, pulled off, and that was well, look, I mean, it's almost a crazy race. I mean, you're seeing incidents all around the racetrack, driving all over the racetrack. Adrian Zaug is in problems. We don't know what that is. Suddenly coming into turn 12. And there his hand up. He's going to be coming into the pits, and well, it'll be sad to see the end of this race.
Oh, can you believe it? Now let's listen in on the radio with Team South Africa. Let's hear what they were saying. Problem downshifting, he said, so some sort of gearbox problem.
Well, it probably would be more electrical. It'd probably be a quick answer would be to change the steering wheel, put another steering wheel on. But if it isn't that, then it may be something mechanical. But until the team get the car in the pit lane and can have a quicker look at it, but the quick fix would be to put a new steering wheel on.
Oh, that is absolutely miserable. And already, John, they're not even going to try and change the steering wheel out there. They're going to push it straight back in the pits. And the fans will not like to see this pictures. Poor Adrian Zaug. And South Africa's record on home turf doesn't get any better, I'm afraid. It wasn't great last year. And there's a look of disbelief all around this Kyalami circuit. Their man is out by the looks of it, unless they can repair him and send him on his way again. And even if they can, he's going to be way down the order.
He's pretty animated in what he's describing. Well, Team GBR still chasing the Netherlands for that 4th place. And for Danny Watts, it's been a difficult weekend, but hopefully maybe in the future race he's going to get something out of it if he can go away with a decent haul of points. There'll be compensation for what started off difficultly, let's say.
But you've got to be a bit wary of Portugal not far behind them, because Felipe Albuquerque's had a very fast car here all weekend.
Well, I've said that the Portuguese car is the car to watch, that it is a potential podium finisher. But of course, he's got to get past Team GBR, Netherlands,
Lebanon on
and
the
Brazil.
attack of Germany here. Daniel Murad, as brave as anybody, goes round the outside. And Lebanon moving up into 7th place. Daniel Murad putting behind all the problems they've had this weekend. Great manoeuvre from him.
Well, we've known that Lebanon's had a quick car all weekend, and Daniel Murad is a feisty race driver, and he forced that. Never easy with Michael Ammermuller, but he took that corner, and he made sure Ammermuller was not in a position to defend it strongly enough to deny the place. Here, again, comes, I mean, he's being forced wide, almost into the pit lane exit. Then Ammermuller has to turn right, and the pace with the Lebanese car, and on he goes.
Quick lap, a 32.8 for Lebanon on that lap as well. Another look at that replay. So he's on this set of tyres, he's obviously very, very confident. Just a quick note though, one of the quickest laps last time around was by Brazil, very quietly getting on with holding on to 3rd place. Felipe Guimarães is driving superbly, but I'm afraid out of the action, out of the event. Adrian Zaug, they're not going to get that car fixed. There he is, John. Brazil sitting pretty in 3rd, and that was a great lap last time around.
Yeah, but he's effectively on his own. He hasn't got any interference from the car ahead of him, and he is clear of traffic behind. So even the Netherlands in 4th place, waiting to see how far the advantage is, and still hasn't come past start-finish line. So no pressure from behind from the Netherlands, and it was 22 seconds, and my prophecy, 23 seconds to the Portuguese car. I think Brazil could have a 3rd place and a podium on the cards here this
catching
afternoon.
Monaco, that's the other thing. He gained a 2nd last lap on Monaco. I don't know whether Monaco's got a problem, but he's much, much closer to Monaco now than he was a few laps ago. Meanwhile, USA here now find themselves down in 11th place because China went past as well. So China have moved up into 10th position, and poor Marco Andretti just can't seem to make the car work at all now.
Well, sometimes you get a variation in tyres, but this, I don't know whether it's that or whether just Marco, to lose 4 places in 1 lap as he did do when he rejoined the track after his pit stop, that's not what I would expect from an Andretti.
Now then, Lebanon, as we know, have moved up to 7th. We saw that last time around. Still having a look here from onboard Team USA, as Marco Andretti has a pretty close-up view of the China car, which has just got into the points, with the top 10 all in the points. And still a fair way to go. 22 laps remain. We've had 18 laps of this race so far.
Yeah, we've got another 5 laps of McLaren to go before we have the 2nd pit stop window opening. And for some people, and I suspect Marco Andretti, he cannot wait, because whatever his problem is, it may well be simply that this set of tyres is not working for him. And if he can get in at the earliest opportunity, I'm sure he will. Just a quick, the 2nd place, 3rd place, but the gap is 1.4 seconds, 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah, so he's closed it up a little bit on that lap, not quite as dramatically. Quick note about Australia, John, because of course we saw Australia have that terrible time in the pits. They did get him back out, but he's running last of the ones that are still running in this race, and we have lost a few, I'm afraid. We've lost Ireland on the 1st lap, we've lost Mexico, France, we've lost New Zealand, we've lost Malaysia and South Africa, but Australia now running last in 14th place. And after what promised to be a great event for them, it's all turned to dust.
Well, I mean, how your fortunes change, and it was an exceptionally aggressive start to this race. John Martin did everything perfectly. He got the benefit of that collision between New Zealand and Malaysia, but only when he went into the pit stop and just about to leave, Germany comes across, and whether he stalled it or whether it went into stall mode, which means the engine still runs, you've got to grab the clutch. Anyway, it all went wrong in the pit lane for Australia.
Yeah, desperately disappointing, but Brazil's getting closer and closer to the back of that Monaco machine. And Felipe Guimarães, who had that dramatic accident in qualifying yesterday and ripped the rear wing off it, a 17-year-old, he's learning at a very high level here. But Emerson Fittipaldi, the seat holder, former winner here at Kyalami himself, has a huge amount of faith in this young man. And, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. I said Fittipaldi won. I'm not sure he actually did win here at Kyalami. It might have been one of the few that he missed out on.
Can't remember, Ben. Too long ago. So the gap coming across the start-finish line now, 0.6. It was 1.4 a couple of laps ago. You don't have to tell you the time. You can see visually the gap is closed down. And this is the very wide angle shot coming out of turn 3. And 0.7 of a second is getting into the zone where it will maybe check his progress. One of the features of any modern single-seater race car is you get close to a car ahead of you, has a big bearing on the downforce the front wing can generate. So the speed has been there up to this point. If he can't maintain that effort, he will then run at the speed of Monaco, and it'll be a lot more difficult to find a way past. Monaco actually sliding around, coming out of turn 6. So maybe the rear tire in the Monaco car just beginning to give up. It requires patience now for Philippe Gomez. Not be too eager to get the job done. He's still got a long way to go. We're just coming up to the halfway point of this race. 20 laps to go.
And of course, there's that other pit stop to come, as you mentioned. We're still a couple of laps away from that. Brazil have a very strong team in the pits, and Monaco already had a bit of a mess up on that first stop, so they'll be feeling a little anxious about the second stop. And certainly, if I was the Brazilian team manager, I'd be saying to Philippe, don't necessarily go too hard on the attack just yet. Let's see what happens over the next few laps. Take advantage of any mistakes, but also let's see what happens in the pit stops.
Well, we are in the we've got two more laps to go at the end of this lap before the pit stop window opens. So Philippe Gomez has done all the good work to draw himself back up to the back of the Monaco car in this battle for second place. And I don't think he's going to do anything more. As you say, when the pit stop opportunity arises, which of these two will be the first to dive into the pits? Well, maybe they might go in at the same time.
So he's lost 3/4 of a second now following Monaco. He has to basically follow at Monaco's pace. So that means a 3/4 of a second slower on that lap than he was on the previous lap. And the gap between them now to half a second.
Yeah, the lap times are dropping, and that's because Livio Piccioni is struggling in some of the lower speed corners with rear end bite or rear end grip. But in fact, Brazil did close down fractionally in terms of the gap, just by 0.2 or a little under 0.2 of a second. Here's where the back end of the you can just see again under acceleration the back end wanting to give up grip. So that's the reason why the Monaco car's lap times are beginning to ebb away. Still in the middle 133s, but the Brazil car is the quicker of these two.
Don't forget, if you want to follow all of the timing and scoring, just as we do here in our commentary box, you can do so at A1GP.com. You can monitor the gap, see who's set fastest lap, and you can go onto the live dashboard feature and watch the telemetry. Now, someone's just been wide here.
Yeah, there's two cars ahead. That was, but couldn't have been Portugal.
Yeah,
that was Germany. Just looking, it was two cars ahead, but in fact it was Germany who are actually down in 12th place. So Michael Amamura bringing the car back onto the track, and look at those tires. Absolutely, what's he doing? Trying to block India. I mean, what's going on? Mind you, India is behind Germany, so that was probably, I could say, semi.
Now China in trouble. China going slowly. I don't know what's happened to Ho Pin Tung, but suddenly the car's stuttering along and not able to get anywhere. Meanwhile, look how close these two are for second place, remember. Way up the road, it's still Switzerland leading, but this is the battle for second place, and neither of them on the power boost just yet. Remember, they have 8 power boost opportunities at the start of the race, and they've still got plenty left here.
He took a further 0.2 of a second away from the Monaco car, and he has got the momentum, he's got the speed. The danger is with coming up to a quick corner such as turn 5. Can he afford to run as close as he's doing and not lose out front end balance and grip?
This is the strongest performance we've seen so far from the young Brazilian, but can he keep it all together and go through the pit stop as well, which is coming up shortly? As you saw from the graphic, next time around the pit lane will open up.
So just look and see whether Brazil thinks they can do something. This is the weakest part of the racetrack for the Monaco car, again running very wide. That's where this man Philippe Gomez went off track, and Monaco got perilously close to that zone that Brazil went off in yesterday.
Different lines being taken into West Bank corner, Monaco taking the wider approach, but Brazil just happy to sit in there and wait. There is Emerson Fittipaldi, a man who's put a lot of faith into the youngster, and he's had 1 or 2 little incidents, but bounces back, as we could see here.
Oh, the China car, will it come into play? Hopefully not. It's clearly us clear of the corner, so no problem for these two as they battle for the second place. Monaco, well, you can see it's just 0.2 of a second the last time round. It couldn't be any closer. Philippe Gomez doesn't need to get any closer either. So we're coming up to the end of lap 20. Is it lap 23? We're coming up to the end of lap 17 to go, yes.
Yep, across the line they come. So 23 laps completed up by Switzerland up front. And then the battle between these two, 10 seconds for the gap between Switzerland leading and these two, and the pit stops will be taking place presumably, or some of them will take place next time around. That depends on strategy. Will Brazil leave their man out a bit longer than Monaco?
Oh, runs wide in turn 4, pass is coming, and the position for second place has been taken by Brazil.
So he's done it without the pit stop. We said if he found the opportunity, then he would be through, and Monaco making that little bit of a slip-up.
Oh, and that was a slip-up because he's got no grip. Turned in and he couldn't keep the back of the car in control, had to run around the outside of the corner. Watch it again from on board Monaco. Watch the back of the car as he turns in. There the car runs. This is coming into turn 4 now. Watch the back of the car sliding, just no rear grip.
Nothing he could do but allow the Brazilian car through. He gets back on, keeps out of the way, and Philippe Gomez says thank you, and they're up to second place. The youngster is starring here in Kyalami. Felipe Guimaraes says, thank you very much. I'll just slip through there on the inside. And A1 Team Brazil into second, and Emerson says, thumbs up.
Emerson now get the old Macumba, the old Brazil black magic, make it rhythm, make it run. He's got, and this is the race leader, and he's comfortably, well, 10 seconds ahead, and he's probably unaware of what's been taking place behind him.
He didn't come in then, and I wonder if there was a miscommunication or...
Well, he doesn't have to come in, the team is ready, but it's a question of when he feels, the team feels it's right. He's got waiting for Brazil now in second place to come through.
Strange though, he's leading the race, the pits window opens up, he would be the first in, wouldn't he?
The only Brazil has come in, the only reason maybe they choose not to come is not about coming in, it would be where he would go out. Brand new tyres. Watch for fast laps from Team Brazil in the closing sections of this race, 15 laps to go. The only reason Switzerland may not have opted to come in at the point they did would be where would they rejoin the race? Would they hit heavy traffic or would they have gone into clear air? I suspect they think they may have hit heavy traffic.
So they've left him out there. Great Britain on the way. Looks as though that might have been a slower stop, although I'm not sure we got it completely. 11.1 for Netherlands, and certainly Netherlands getting out of the pits a fair way ahead of GBR, and they were pretty close on track before they stopped, and Great Britain joining on and having to give best. I think that's Germany.
Yes, Germany. Michael Amamura
still waiting for his second stop though, so that'll sort itself out a little bit later on. Team India hard at work to get the tyres changed. Limit on the number of people allowed to enter the car, of course. And away goes
yeah,
Team
not
India.
The most brilliant pit stop for India either. So Narain Karthikeyan will make his way back out, but looking at the race leader, Neil Yarni, all very smooth in control and into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, he's in this time, and of course he had a 10-second advantage over Brazil before Brazil came into the pits last time around, and so there shouldn't be any problems here for Switzerland. Obviously they just want a calm and controlled pit stop. Their pit stops have been pretty good this season, stronger in some ways than they were in their series winning season last year. They seem to have really got their act together.
Well, you know, you can lose a race in the pit lane, all the work that's done before you get onto the track, then on the track, and just one little mistake, one little wheel not falling out of the gun, that's a good stop for Switzerland.
He's very careful to have lots of revs, pulls away, make sure not to stall it, and it looks as though it's safe and sound for Team Switzerland, who will come back out, and of those that have stopped, they will still be clearly in the lead, but leading the race right now, Monaco, because they've not been in for their second pit stop. Another brand new set of tyres,
yes.
This time for Team Portugal.
So we got Brazil on new tyres, we got Portugal on new tyres. We're going to see some lap times improving dramatically. Portugal still have the fastest lap in this race, but not the fastest lap of the weekend. That still actually resides with Portugal, a 1:29 from the sprint race.
Yeah, I guess this is the time of the race, John, where we could well see a new fastest lap with the new tyres and a lower fuel load.
Possibly, but it's this corner here. A lot of dust has been kicked onto that corner. Take a little bit of time for that to clean up.
Italy having a quiet race. Eduardo Piscopo in 9th place at the moment, just having made the pit stop. I think he'll be slightly lower than that once all the pit stops have been done. Germany back out once again with Michael Amamula, and he rejoins the fray. So Team Italy getting on track just ahead of India. So yeah, I think they'll hold on to what is 10th at the moment, and Michael Amamula will be slightly behind. So Monaco lead the race, waiting for them to come in.
We're seeing a lot of purples on our timing and scoring as individual drivers who have fitted new tyres as they come in, yes. So a lot of people are benefiting from them, reserving back one set of new tyres to give them the final run to the flag.
So Clivia Piccioni had a miserable stop in the first part of this race. That's what lost him the lead in the first place. Can the boys now make up for that with a rapid turnaround? But remember, he had already been passed by this car of Team Brazil, so it would need to be an extremely rapid turnaround. I don't think there's any chance of him coming out ahead because Felipe Guimaraes is going so quickly, but it is a new set of tyres. Yep, Brazil goes past, he's still in the pits at the moment. Away he goes. It was better than his first stop, there's no doubt about it, but he's very firmly in 3rd position, I would say, as he rejoins, and he's going to have to be a bit careful because Netherlands and Portugal are not that far behind.
No, they've yet to make their second stop, so Portugal is, they've made up ground, but unfortunately for them, they're still making a pit stop, and that's going to take the best part of it.
No, I think they have stopped actually.
Portugal
I think they've done their 2 stops already, so that is genuine. He's got to be a little bit wary of those 2 guys. And now we're on board.
Danny Watts' fastest lap.
Yeah, where's that come from suddenly? I said we might see some quick laps, but it's Danny Watts with the first of the new fastest, although that's been beaten by USA.
Yes.
USA just gone quickest.
So Marco Andretti had quick, he's got sector times, and that one at 30.043, that'll be a little bit of satisfaction for the American driver who struggled on that second set of tyres after his first round of pit stop.
Danny kicking up the dust there as he had fastest lap for a moment, but as you say, it's now Marco Andretti. Danny's running in 7th place currently, so in the points, but lost out a little bit in that last round of stops because he was holding on to 5th position.
Oh, China again, a problem coming out of that tight little right-left SS, so whether they're going to go in the pit lane, we saw that earlier in the race, and China again struggling, we don't know with what.
There is one car out of position in the top bunch, so that will give Great Britain 6th place back because Lebanon at the moment have not made their second stop and they're being shown as second.
Fastest lap now to Switzerland, 1:29.841, and Brazil again on a brand new set of tyres, their lap 1:30.731, so maybe a little bit of inexperience from the young Brazilian, not giving the best of the tyres in this run to the finish. There's 13 laps remaining.
Yeah, a little way to go, and well, I wonder if he can hold on and celebrate what would be a superb achievement to bring Brazil a 2nd place finish. It does look as though it's over for China. Poor Hoping Tom has been struggling for a while now, and the car being pushed back into the garage. It looks as though it's all done for them. Meanwhile, Australia still on track. A new middle fastest sector time for John Martin. Of course, they're way down in 13th as we watch Lebanon and Daniel Murad waiting for him to come into the pits. He's leaving it to the last possible moment. Bouncing over the little bumps heading out of that S's section up the hill now, and then down the way. I wonder where they're going to be able to bring him back out. They've obviously decided to leave him out there on purpose on this set of tyres.
Well, if the car's balanced, he's doing good lap times, then why bring him in? He's got clear air. But the key will be not so much as when you come in, but when you go out, who will you go out with? Can you get out ahead of people that you want to be ahead of, or are you going to fall in amongst the middle of them?
Yeah, that's right. He's going to hope to probably come out in about 7th position, I would think. He's coming in this time.
And
so
Australia, in the meantime, have claimed fastest lap, 1:29.385, and we're getting perilously close to the 1:29.0, which is the fastest lap in the sprint race, which went to Portugal.
So Brazil crosses the line into that 2nd place once again, with Lebanon having come into the pits, and Daniel Murad's team go to work to get the change around done as quickly as possible. Going past us, we've seen Netherlands and Portugal go through. Malaysia's rejoining, by the way, after a long time in the pits. Malaysia, the yellow car there, rejoining just in front of Great Britain and gets... Ooh, that was a bit close, wasn't it?
The closing speed of Danny Watts is probably a bit quicker than they anticipated, but he managed to duck out and get down the inside.
And sure enough, Lebanon rejoin in 7th place, as we thought. So way ahead of Team USA. Marco Andretti is still in the points, running in 8th. Indonesia, by the way, running in 9th place. And Zahir Ali again on target for Indonesia's first points of the season, with a little advantage over Italy. Italy running in 10th and India in 11th place. So all the eyes are together at 9, 10 and 11 in the positions at the moment. But Indonesia, Zahir Ali, great job from him so far. Let's hope he can hold it together for the remaining 12 laps. Good to know that Malaysia are back out. But let's get some more reaction from the pits now. There was an incident early on that took New Zealand out of the race, and Hinch has caught up with driver Earl Bamber.
I'm here with Earl Bamber. Earl, great start to the race. You were running a competitive 3rd, and then that incident with Malaysia. How did you see it?
Oh, I mean, we weren't quick enough to start off with, but we were defending, and we came down into turn 12, and you know, we were braking on the inside, and he just hit us up the ass, and that was it. You know, we're in the gravel trap.
It was not the only incident that Malaysia was involved in. Is this a bit of a trend from Farouz? What do you think?
I didn't get any of that.
No worries, man. We'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully for the next race we can be better. We can always be improving. I think we improved over the weekend, and being in the top 3 through qualifying wasn't too bad. It was just a shame for the guys about what happened in the end, you know, with the incident. So, you know, let's just look forward to the next race in Portugal.
All right, tough luck, mate.
Thanks.
Thanks, Hinch. A bit noisy down there on pit wall. They're struggling to hear each other, I think. But, well, a great shame that we lost to New Zealand early on in that race. And Malaysia back out again, John, after whatever the problem was.
Well, I can't imagine why they want to go out, other than there is the point available to somebody who can get the fastest lap of the day. So I suspect that Malaysia are going to go out and try and get that single point. They're on a run now. They haven't completed a flying lap since they've been out, so it'll be the end of this lap before we get an idea of the pace of Paros Fazia. But look, Neil Yarni taking it easy. He's 9.1 seconds ahead of Brazil. No pressure. All he has to do is steer the car. The biggest difficulty that Neil Yarni faces is actually because he's got no pressure whatsoever. You almost relax too much. The one thing you don't want to do is to lose the rhythm. And the young Brazilian helping me to lean over a bit to the right of the cockpit as he came through that slow turn 15. Maybe fatigue is beginning to take its toll on the young Brazilian.
Well, it is tough, this circuit. There is no rest at all. They've got to just keep totally focused and concentrate. And the G loadings around here are some of the highest we see at any of the circuits. The gap between first and second is fairly constant, 9.3 seconds. You're riding on board with Jeroen Bleekemolen, winner earlier on, and still in with a chance, you know, of getting a podium, but he's 2.2 seconds behind the Monaco car, Clivia Piccioni. So Piccioni's managed to maintain that gap, hasn't he?
But the Netherlands can't sit comfortably. They got Portugal just 1.5 seconds behind. So they're keeping the Netherlands honest as they try to hunt down the Monaco car for that final podium position.
Peak G there, 2.7 through turn 5. And the point about this circuit is it's not just one corner, there's lots of corners where you've got these very, very high G loads.
Yes, and it is a counterclockwise circuit, which is different to the majority of tracks that motor racing is taking place on. So again, for drivers, their preparation, their condition, you know, that side of their body is going to get a bigger workout than they would normally expect on a clockwise circuit.
G loading less here, of course, at a slower corner, the hairpin, but watch the G meter here as he comes down. That's the top right of the graphic. And you'll see through this very fast, it's a flat-out left-hander. Again, the G begins to build up. About 2.4 maximum there, not quite as high as some of the others, but still one way, then the other. The neck really is taking a lot of load around this circuit.
Yeah, the thing with G loads is if it's a very short G load, it's not the problem. It's where you've got an exceptionally long corner where the loading lasts for maybe over a second, maybe a couple of seconds. That's where it gets really tiring. The quick sort of high peak and then drop off again, you can deal with relatively easily.
Remember, you can tap into all of this on the car that you choose at A1GP.com. Go to live dashboard and you can see exactly what G-forces any car out there happens to be pulling around these corners. Now, Felipe Albuquerque for Portugal running in 5th. In terms of the series points, John, we lost Ireland early on. Of course, Portugal looking forward to their home race, and they're now sitting in 5th place, but they were tied with Switzerland coming into this race after the events of this morning. Switzerland are leading, so Portugal are going to drop back to 3rd, and both, Switzerland in particular, are really going to be knocking on Ireland's door now.
Well, I would think that if the situation remains the same, Ireland are going to drop down from the lead in the championship. They had 12 points advantage. It's 15 for a win, and whoever gets the fastest lap, well, Switzerland are probably not bothering for that now. But certainly that should put Switzerland 3 points ahead of Ireland, with Portugal closing down on Ireland as well.
That's right. So yes, for 5th place, if it stays where they are at the moment, Portugal will pick up 6 points. So they will still be behind Ireland by 6 points. But Switzerland, as you say, will become the new series leaders. So the reigning title holders, of course, back-to-back victories has never been done in A1GP in terms of nations taking the title and carrying on to defend it the following year. But Team Switzerland very strong with Neil Yarni. There's the whole team, Max Velti, James Robinson to the right of shot. What a strong team this is.
Well, to achieve success, the first obvious thing is you've got to stay out of trouble. You've got to finish. The issue about what happened with Team Ireland and Team Malaysia in turn 5, we only got that one view of it, and to make a judgment on that, I'd like to see some others, to see how much room was given to Malaysia, or whether Faraz Fawzi felt that he was totally compromised.
India on the attack.
Whoa, jamming down the inside.
Yeah, trying to take 10th this is for the final point, so there's quite a lot at stake, and you can see that Narain Karthikeyan in the blue car really throwing everything he's got now at Eduardo Piscopo.
Well, I don't know whether Narain sort of found a bit of pace. Let's have a look at his lap times, 31.6, and Piscopo doing the same time. But Narain sliding the car around. You don't want to do that. A, you lose time doing it, and B, you put more load into your tyre than you need to do.
And only just ahead of them is the Indonesian car, having its best outing of the year so far in the hands of new driver Zahir Ali.
You know, in many ways, that's got to be one of the drives of the day, because all the adversity that Zahir Ali has had to deal with over the weekend, and I mean, had probably less track time than anybody else here, and doing a very good job. And in fact, I think he might be driving himself into a permanent seat, because Satri Harmanta, looking at the car, is that off the track? Is that yellow red maybe? Is that Australia's car that pulled off on the outside of turn 5? There was a car on the outside.
We'll have a look at that in a moment, but meanwhile, as you say, yes, Zahir Ali doing a doing a fine job for Indonesia, holding 9th at the moment, so he's still in some danger. He doesn't want to lose if he loses places to these two behind. Oh, look up from the rain. I thought he might run into the back then of Italy, but thankfully there was just enough gap between them.
Well, to try and do it up into turn 9 and 10, it's a blind approach, and you've got to be very committed. You've got to be very confident and sure you've got the pace to do it. But you've got to go down the inside this time. Locks it up, keeps it just on the tarmac. And Eduardo Piscopo, well, that was fun. I suppose you could call it fun.
Yeah, it was, but Piscopo's been given a bit of breathing space, and actually now Narain's got to watch out because he's got Michael Ammermuller right behind him.
Well, these two getting together is going to be entertaining if they should get close together. I think the pace of India probably just enough to keep him out of the clutches of Team Germany, but that error of driving, we've seen a number of them in the last few laps from Narain Karthikeyan as he's trying to find a way to bet himself up into the top 10. Let's look again as we come down the hill, and he just dives down the inside. I mean, really, that was a do-or-die effort, and it certainly wasn't do, it was more die.
Great car control though. There's not many people who could have look at how sideways he gets here. There's not that many who could have dealt with that, sorted it out and got it pointed straight again. It was a nice piece of car control, but obviously he lost ground as a result.
Yeah, but I mean the way he set about doing it, I mean, it was coming from a long way behind. He had to brake really late to try and achieve that, and frankly it was never on.
So Narain Karthikeyan remains down in 11th place, still behind Italy. Germany follow. Australia still running in this race, 13th. They have got the honour of fastest lap. John Martin setting a very quick pace after his pit stop with the new tyres, and well, at least that's a point to take away for the Aussies after what has been a really, really disappointing day.
Pay attention.
Yes.
Fastest first sector on lap, whatever it happens to be, lap 35. Gone to Farouz Fawzi in Malaysia. Now they're saying he's only going out to try and get the fastest lap, but he's got the first sector fastest time. Keep an eye, he's also on power boost.
Yeah, that's what Malaysia are doing, you said. That might be why they sent the car back out, and sure enough, he's got fastest second sector time. So Malaysia definitely trying to take fastest lap away from Australia and get that one single point, and so some honour from this race. So we'll have to see, yes, could be putting the fastest time from earlier under pressure, which set by Portugal. We're riding with Portugal at the moment, running in 5th. Great Britain still sitting in 6th place, just behind, well, not just behind, they're actually quite a long way behind Portugal. They're some 7 seconds behind.
1:28.308, fastest lap of the weekend in race conditions, has gone to Farouz Fawzi and Malaysia.
New lap record then, an official lap record for Team Malaysia, for Farouz Fawzi. After all the dramas of early on in this race, he has set the fastest lap. How many laps behind is he? He's 19 laps behind because of all that time he's spent in the pits, but he set the fastest lap.
He's got a lot of fuel on board, remember. He's got 19 laps more fuel on board than everybody else.
Yes, presumably, unless they pumped some out. That's what they might have taken.
They could have done so indeed.
So here we are with Portugal, 5 laps to go now. Switzerland still out in front. Brazil in second by 10 seconds. Then Monaco third. Netherlands in fourth. No change amongst the cars battling for third, fourth and fifth. Here they are with Portugal sitting at the back of this group.
Well, Indonesia on power boost, but there's some 12 seconds behind USA. And in the meantime, Monaco also went into power boost very briefly. But there's some 6.5 seconds behind Brazil in second place.
Quick mention too that Lebanon, we saw Lebanon fighting quite hard earlier on in this race, still in this one. By the way, look at this, Italy and India getting together again because Karthikeyan has closed up once more to Piscopo. But Team Lebanon on for points for only the second time in A1GP history, because the only points scored by Lebanon at Zambor at the start of this season, and that was when the car was off the road. So there's a great opportunity for Lebanon to get some points on the board. Meanwhile, this battle is still over the final point for 10th place.
5 laps to go. That's a tough race. So let's look and see. Narain Karthikeyan again closes up into turn 4, back into the Italy car, sliding a little bit under acceleration, up to 5th gear into turn 5, just to breathe on the throttle and launch the car into this corner. Great corner, my favourite corner on the circuit.
Yeah, Narain Karthikeyan as brave as anybody through there, but it didn't quite allow him to close up. But Italy touched wide there. He's very close under braking, and that's where Narain is historically so strong.
So I guarantee you he's going to have another pop coming up the hill if he can get close enough through the exit of turn 8, up the hill into turn 9. Well, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't mean that he's not going to have a go. No, he's not going to wait. Not close enough.
No, that's right, but he's got a good run through the corner.
And he's got to have another go down the hill because he's got more grip and more speed through turn 10. and he's going to do it once again. Watch for defence from Italy coming down through the quick left-hander into turn 12.
He's on the attack. He's going to go for it where he went last time. Can he make the move stick? He gets sideways. He's done the same. He runs wide, and Piscopo goes straight back
It looked
past.
like this time he had actually done it properly, but again, just down the inside, not as clean as the racing line, not quite so much grip, and not able to shed the speed.
That's right, it's a clear indication of how slippery it is offline, because he really seemed to judge that to perfection in terms of approach speed, but the car just didn't want to slow down.
I mean, this is about as good as you can do. Down the inside, got on the brakes, but on the dirty bit of the racetrack, and Eduardo Piscopo slides underneath. You know, he's a smart young boy, Piscopo, and he's reading Narain Karthikeyan like a book.
But I love watching Narain Karthikeyan. He's the sort of racing driver you want in a race series, because he will always attack, he'll always have a go, and that's what I love about watching him. And Team India have a real racer in Narain Karthikeyan. Even if it doesn't always quite go according to plan, he will not give up. So he's still in 11th, I'm afraid. Oh, he had to correct a big slide there. And in 12th place is Germany. We've only got 3 laps to go here at Kyalami. What a dramatic afternoon of racing we have had. Let's just quickly recap what went on, John. We lost Ireland early on, instant with Team Malaysia, and of course that has had a big bearing on the series.
Yes, indeed. New Zealand not so much in the series right now, but they got knocked out by Malaysia. Then Mexico tagged France at the same corner. Whether it was in sympathy or not, we don't know. So a busy opening laps here in Kyalami.
We lost South Africa with a problem with their car as well. China had problems, so they retired. Australia looked set for a definite podium, but then they had a miserable pit stop, and they've ended up all the way down in 13th place, and they're not really going to get anything out of it.
I mean, for once, doing the highlights of this event is going to be a pleasure.
There's a lot to think about. Lots has been happening here. But at the end of it, it looks like we're going to get one of the most regular winners coming through once again, Team Switzerland and Neil Yarni.
Metronomic Swiss race driver, just like a good Swiss clock.
Still on board here with Team Portugal's Philippe Albuquerque. Still solid points haul from him in prospect, with a 5th place finish, hopefully, if it all stays as is. And behind them there's that big gap back to Great Britain and Lebanon, still sitting in 7th position.
But it's just a 10th of a second behind, right under the rear wing, can't get closer.
No, that's right. So Great Britain and Lebanon are pretty close to one another at the moment, or they were last time around anyway.
Yeah, 2 seconds slower on that lap, Great Britain over the team and Great Britain are now defending their own power boost, so they're trying to defend that 6th place from Lebanon.
So there are still some stories to unfold here in the closing laps of the race at Kyalami, and we're just going to have to see what changes there might be. Netherlands holding ahead in 4th place here at the moment of Team Portugal. Across the line they come.
And Monaco, Netherlands, Portugal all now on power boost, all having to defend. So the pressure coming from Portugal forcing Netherlands up to the back of the Monaco car.
But out front it's still Switzerland with a 12-second advantage over Brazil. And nothing that Brazil can do about that right now, but it's still an outstanding drive from Philippe Guimaraes. Now then, John, we said they were close. This is how close Lebanon was to Great Britain. Did they get past? Yes, I think, or did...
Oh, I mean, certainly Danny Watt's a lot more careful about a manoeuvre in turn 1, and he's allowed the Lebanese car to get the advantage. Danny Watts is running 2 seconds a lap slower than everybody around him, and that's where Daniel Morad got the motivation and the momentum to get past. But a brave move. 2 brave drivers in a difficult part of the racetrack.
But Daniel Morad really has reclaimed something from this weekend, which was going disastrously wrong for the team. And it looks as though Lebanon are on for their best ever finish and points for only the 2nd time in their history. But here's another big story. It's Team Brazil. The last time they finished on the podium was in season 3 in Malaysia. Now, we think there may be a problem with the car. He's suddenly lost a little bit of time. He's complaining on the radio, we gather. We're monitoring the radio. It doesn't look as though he's slowed down that much, but he is saying to the team he's not too happy.
Well, both Switzerland here, who's just coming through to go on to the last lap, and the Brazil car, both were into the 132s. Whether that was because of something we couldn't see, or whether there is a genuine problem with the Brazil car.
Crossed the line, Brazil's just crossed the line still. Well, yes, Monaco's a lot quicker on that last lap. The gap, though, still 2.6 seconds. Meanwhile, there's Netherlands and Portugal. This is not over yet. We're on the final lap. A couple of drivers here are still prepared to try and throw everything at this. And for Philippe Albuquerque, he's got his home race coming up next time in Portimao in the Algarve in Portugal, and he wants to go there with the best possible result. He's going to keep pushing here.
Netherlands have got 1 more power boost. They're currently on it. Portugal got none remaining. So this battle to the half a lap to go to the checkered flag, and again Germany now trying to find a way past the rain guard again.
Didn't quite do it though. He stays 12th, India in 11th, Italy still holding on to 10th ahead of them, and still just ahead of those is Indonesia. So we're into the closing moments. Switzerland are looking good, and it's just what's going to happen behind them. Is everybody else going to hold on? What Neil Yarni is thinking about is just keeping it cool, and you know what, there's another record to be matched here today. He will match Nico Hulkenberg's tally of race victories here this afternoon in terms of 9 race victories to his name. Nico Hulkenberg managed to do it in one season, but Neil Yarni matches that record. It's another victory for A1 Team Switzerland. Yarni crosses the line, his hand punches the air, a professional, solid job.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. Great drive from this man, Philippe Guimaraes, and second place.
Only just though, only just. Look how close Monaco is to the end. Look at the sense of relief for Emerson Fittipaldi for Team Brazil. Monaco 3rd, Netherlands 4th, Portugal 5th, and here comes Daniel Murad for Lebanon's best ever result in A1GP. Best result for Monaco, by the way, as well. But it's Lebanon taking points for only the second time in their long involvement with A1GP, and behind him it's Great Britain finishing in 7th place. 8th place is going to go, I think, to Team USA, but I'm not going to call it until he crosses the line, because we've seen a few changes in the last moments of the races here already today. There is Marco Andretti glancing around, just seeing what's happening, maybe looking at one of the screens, I'm not quite sure. He's coming around to take the checker flag, and here's a great story. Zahir Ali for Indonesia is going to finish in 9th. That's Indonesia's best result for a long time. They had 1 points finish last year, but none so far this year, and they're into the points. Germany finishes in 12th. No, 11th. What happened to... yes, no, they got past India there. So that was a move for Germany into 11th on that last lap. Let's get down to the pits. Some reaction from Team Brazil. That's second place. Let's hear from Emerson Fittipaldi.
Emerson, the weekend's not gone quite to plan up to this point, but your young boy put on the podium. You must be really thrilled.
I'm very proud of him. He's a very young driver, very talented. And the last 10 laps had a fuel pressure problem. That's why I'm so happy, because we were losing to Monaco. He couldn't do anything. We were losing 1 second per lap, but I'm very happy. Very happy.
He's a very young, very inexperienced driver, but you guys have put your faith in him, and tell us how he's developed over the season. Better every race.
He's so talented, and he's going to go a long way.
Good, well, congratulations.
So well done, Emerson Fittipaldi, and well done, Philippe Guimaraes, the 17-year-old. Okay, he's going to be 18 in a few weeks' time, but what a way to celebrate that with his first podium finish. Brazil, well, it's a while since they had a podium finish, as I mentioned, Malaysia in season 3, and beyond that, of course, it's a long time since they've had a victory. That was Nelson Piquet when he drove in the Brazilian team right at the beginning of A1GP history at Brands Hatch in season 1. But Neil Yarni is the man who's recorded the win. Absolutely superb victory. It's the 3rd win of the team for this year, but their 9th win outright in the history of A1GP, as I say, matching that record of Nico Hulkenberg. But perhaps more importantly, from their point of view, Switzerland now take the lead in the points. Confirmation of the result then, and behind the top 3 with that fantastic podium for Monaco. Netherlands up to 4th place, Portugal 5th, a great 6th place for Daniel Murad of Lebanon, 7th for Great Britain, 8th for USA, and then Zahir Ali on his debut with Indonesia, making it into the points in 9th. Final point went to Italy's Edoardo Piscopo, 11th for Germany at the end there from India. Australia disappointed, but finishing outside the points. China out of the race at the end, and many other cars not making the full distance. Malaysia, South Africa, New Zealand knocked out early on, France as well, in an instant with Mexico, and Ireland out on the very first lap. Malaysia just picking up the consolation of 1